Hey, this is Dan Kimber with Park Multimedia. What I wanted to do real quick today was show you what I think is the easiest way to put a podcast together if you're not an audio person. All right. The program we're going to use is called Audacity. And so we're going to pop it open real quick and import our audio. And one of the reasons that I like Audacity for this is that Audacity, while it's not the most professional and robust program, it has a lot of the same features that you would find in a more professional program. And so while it it gets the job done, is what I'm saying. And so that it's a nice, quick program. We're going to be able to get this done in a couple of minutes and edit the podcast. And this is what I do every single time that I edit this podcast. And the way it works is that you're going to hear a cold open, a little stinger sound, and then the podcast, all right? And so how we do that is that we hit record right at the beginning when everyone gets to the studio, and we record 5-10 minutes of banter and then eventually start the podcast. From that banter, I'm going to go in and pull out a snippet to make as the cold open, something a little funny to start the show. So to do that, in here, these are our 4 icons that we're going to use the most of up here. And so we're going to start by zooming in with this magnifying lens. There are 2 more magnifying lenses over here. You can zoom in and zoom out with those, and they'll just do it wherever your cursor is, all right? So when you open up something in Audacity, it always shows you the entire timeline of audio that you have. So I'm going to come back over here, and I know that my intro is over here-ish. Yep, that's me cackling and laughing, and I believe that's the start of the podcast. So I'm going to come back to my cursor.
Hey, welcome.
So I want to start it with that, hey, welcome.
Hey, welcome back to...
All right. I'm zoom in just a little more, see if I can get that closer. Yep, there we go. All right. Bam. So the nice thing is that because we've marked this now, when I zoom back out, I can hover over it, drag this way, and you could delete that if you wanted to, and your podcast would be good to go. But we use it again to go through and find all of that banter at the beginning, so I'm going to need that audio to go through and find my cold open. So it's there. I'm going to click off of it, click back up here again, highlight, come back. Start over. I was zoomed out too far. Zoom out just a smidge more. There we go. Highlight and get rid of. Let me mute this track just so I can make sure that I got it right at the beginning.
Hey, welcome back to even more.
All right, so I'm going to clip that just a smidge more. There we go. Come back up here.
Hey, welcome back.
All right, so we're good to go. Now, I'm going to zoom out, use this double-sided arrow, and slide this over here out of the way. That's just so that I can work on this one now and not have to hear both audios at the same time. Now, I'm going to zoom in down here and grab the chunk of audio that I want for the cold open, which is a little bit about who's going to start the show and who's the star of the show, all right? And again, I listened to this ahead of time, so that's why I know where it's at.
Hey, by the way, he's taking the lead.
So right there where he says, hey, by the way. So I'm going to zoom in. And it starts right here.
Hey, by the way, he's taking the lead.
All right. So now I can zoom back out, so I can see the beginning of the whole timeline again. Highlights, drag, and this time I am going to delete.
Hey, by the way, he's taking the lead.
Well, you're the star, so I can you.
That's fair.
All right, so that's where I went from the beginning. Now I'm going to zoom back in. And what I'm looking for is the end of that. It's only about 15 seconds.
Sounds like I just called him a star.
Could you just run it that way instead? That'd be better.
And I want it to end right here. All right. So I'm going to zoom out, highlight, drag, and delete. So now we have 2 of the 3 sections of the podcast. All right. So I'm going to come back, grab my double-sided arrow, slide you over here so you can just hear real quick what it'll sound like.
I'd like it so that if we use that in the open, we make sure that the part where he calls himself a star precedes it. Otherwise, it sounds like I just called him a star.
Could you just run it that way instead? That'd be better.
And then
Hey, welcome back to even more.
All right, those are the two parts of the show. The last thing is going to be the sounder. But before I get to the sounder, I want to correct an error. So when we recorded this episode, there were so many people that we had to actually put half the group on the left side and half on the right. So if you watch,
Oh, good. We do have guests.
Yes. I mentioned.
they're not even on the left and right channel. Quick fix in Audacity. We're going to click up here where it says the name of the track, and we're going to split stereo to mono. And do the same down here because it's from the same audio. And what this will do is, now our audio, when I play it,
And Dan gets irritated, and we didn't choose what
We
we're
have
talking
guests.
about. But it just feels like we've reached a new milestone. We've had guests before.
Yes.
and now the tracks are actually stereo. And so that takes care of the fact that you don't want something in the left and something in the right. You want it in both ears, all right? So we're going to come down here. I'm going to raise my audio real quick just so that they're a little louder. Put them all at +5. Come down here. Come on. And 5. And what I'm looking for is I want them to be up here between this 15 to 9 range.
All things pop culture. I'm Alan.
I'm Patrick, and today we're talking about Jurassic World, and we have special guests.
Wait, did you jump right to the topic?
All right, so that's a little low, but if you look over here, how low it is compared to over here, they get louder. So I'm good to go with that audio at that level, all right? So now what I want to do, I'm going to shrink these just so I can see the rest of my timeline. And go back. All right. And so now I'm going to import our sounder. And again, audio, import audio. And it's down here, and there's the radio tune. And again, whenever you import something, it shows you the entire timeline. So I'm going to zoom back in, use my double-sided arrow to slide this over, so that what happens is the end of that phrase then hits the sounder.
Could you just run it that way instead? That'd be better.
And here is about enough of that, so I'm going to click here, zoom back out a smidge, and highlight and get rid of it. And then I'm going to move this top track with the double-sided arrow again back to here. And you see how it gives you that yellow line so you can line it up. And then I can move this one over as well to make sure that they're in line with one another so that they're not off from each other. The other way you could do that is, let me get rid of this again, is if you were to use your cursor and highlight the two tracks if you're a little worried, and then move them together so that they both come back to where you want. All right. And we always want it to overlap just a smidge, so we're going to go to there. Yeah, come on, there we go. All right. And now I'm going to scroll back down here. And then the last thing we're going to do is this envelope tool right here. And what this allows us to do is place little markers in here of where we want audio to do things. So I want this audio to start out loud and get soft. Come back to my arrow.
Run it that way instead. That'd be better. Hey, welcome back to Even More Mashed.
All right, I'm going to come back over here. I actually want that to fade out a little sooner. So I can pull this back over here like this. Make it get a little softer. And then I actually want to move these a little sooner so they hit a little faster. Grab this, move this here. There we go. So what you hear is...
Just run it that way instead. That'd be better. Hey, welcome back to Even More Mashed Up. We are a podcast coming to you.
It's still a little loud on the sounder, so I'm just going to go ahead and lower this a little more. One more time.
Hey, welcome back to Even More Mashed Up. We are a podcast coming to you.
That's a podcast, all right? All right, so then what we're going to do is just export our audio real quick. So we're going to export audio, and we're going to make this 70, I believe. And when we export, it gives you a warning really quickly saying that your track's going to be mixed down into 2 stereo tracks. All that means is that no matter how many tracks you have in here, Audacity makes it a pair of stereo tracks, all right? So we're going to hit OK. On this screen, if you want to go through and add metadata, you can. If not, just hit OK, and you're good to go. and then Audacity goes through and does the work in the background and actually export out your audio. So there you have it. That's sort of a quick way of going through and putting together a podcast if you're not an expert at podcasting. And again, I think that Audacity has a lot of shortcomings when it comes to audio production if you were doing something more robust. But for this purpose of being able to get an podcast done pretty quickly, this is probably about 10 minutes, and so it's not that bad. And again, the way we record it makes it easier because we record it in one large chunk, which if you're new to podcasting or if you're new to audio editing for a podcast, I would highly suggest having it done that way, where you just hit record and let it run, and then that's your podcast. As you get better with the post-production and the podcasting, go in and sort of you can tweak it and get a little more creative. But this is a great way to get started using a free program to edit your podcast. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.